Here are some examples of the 8th grade math screeners for the spring math winter screenings. First one, add, subtract, multiply, divide with exponents. 3 different types of examples. First example is all addition or subtraction. So when we're looking at this, one thing to note is, do we have like terms? And like terms means, do you have the same variable, like the x and the x, as well as the same exponent? And when that happens, you can combine them. So when we look at this, 4x squared minus 4x squared, we can combine them and get 0. So they actually cancel each other out. Then, if we have just a power that does not have a variable, we want to simplify it. Because it has a negative exponent, that means let's take the reciprocal. So we usually think of 3 to the second as 9. But to the negative exponent means let's take the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 9, of course, is 1/9. So after these cancel out, 3 to the negative second power is 1/9. When we have a quotient of powers, we separate kind of the coefficients from the variable separately. So the coefficients of 7 and 2, we see if we can simplify it. We cannot. So we're just going to leave that as 7/2. And then when we have the same base of a, we're going to subtract the exponent. So 6 minus 4 is 2, so it's 7/2 a to the second power, or a squared. When we have a product of powers like this, once again, think of the coefficients separately. So when I have 4 and 3, since it's multiplication, 4 times 3 is 12. And then when we have the powers with the same base is n, we're going to add these exponents. 2 plus 5 is 7. So it'd be 12n to the 7th power. The second screener is order of operations. So when we have order of operations, we remember PEMDAS. So there are 4 things that we have to keep in mind. First, do everything inside of parentheses. Then once we accomplish that, take care of the exponents, simplify that part. Then multiplication and division are on the same step. So if we have multiplication and division at the same time, we would go left to right. And then fourth is addition and subtraction. Once again, left to right. You're going to see some fractions. So something to note about fractions. Fraction bars are division signs. So this means let's take the numerator divided by the denominator. And because it doesn't, it also kind of assumes parentheses around the numerator and the denominator. So we have to figure out everything in the numerator first, simplify that completely, then simplify the denominator completely, and then divide them. So in doing that, inside of the parentheses, so if we look at the numerator, we actually have 2 sets of parentheses, so we want to go in the innermost part of that. So in the innermost part, I have -7 plus 10, so that turns into 3. All right, so now we have these parentheses. I've got 3 times 3, that's going to be 9. So let's make this a little bit simpler. I'm going to rewrite it. So we have 9 to the second power, and then the denominator, 3 squared still. 9 to the second power is 81. And then now I can look at the denominator. 3 to the second power is 9. And dividing 81 by 9 gives us 9. And then the last screener is point on a line. And when we have a point on a line, one thing to remember is that all ordered pairs are xy. So when I see 3, -7, 3 is my x, and -7 is my y. And if any point is on a line, and there are an infinite number of points that can be on a line, if any point is on a line, it means when we substitute the x into the equation and the y in the equation is going to be true. So if I put my 3 in for x, this is 2 times x, so I'm going to do 2 times 3 minus 13. And I'm going to put -7 in for the y, and I just check, is this true? So kind of following order of operations again. Multiplication comes first. I'm going to put a little question mark here. We don't know if it's true yet. 2 times 3 is 6. And then 6 minus 13 is -7. So that's true. So is this point on the line? The answer is yes. If this equation wasn't true, then the answer obviously would be no. So for instance, let's say that instead of 3 -7, we had 3 +7. And if it was 3 +7, when we ended up at this point, we had -7 equals 7. That is not true, so then the answer would have been No, because the equation was false.